Welcome to a quick Bevy with Swans fans, where each week Swans fans have 45 seconds to answer some burning bloods and footy-related questions over a quick bevy or two. Today we have a special guest. Chris, can you please make the introduction?
Sure thing, Noddy. We would love to introduce a new guest for this week. Part-time triathlete, part-time office worker, but full-time Swannies tragic. Welcome to the podcast, Jules.
Thanks, legends, for that warm welcome. It's awesome to be here.
Cheers.
No problem.
Well, I'll raise one there. And
What are we drinking for today?
all right, so Jules, before we get into the weekly Big Four questions, just a few quick questions off the bat so we and the listeners can get to know a little bit more about you. How did you come to be a Swans fan? What's your favourite Swans memory or moment? And who's your favourite Swans player, either past or present?
Awesome. Yeah, well, I was actually born in South Melbourne, so I'd like to think that it's been in my blood since birth. And then obviously moving to Sydney a little bit later in life, that love has only grown stronger. So, yep, runs pretty deep with me. In terms of my favourite Swans moment, look, it's always hard to go past the premierships. However, one particular memory that really stands out for me is a win that we had at Cardinia Park in 2011, breaking the Cats streak of 29 straight wins. Yeah. It really epitomised the Bloods culture for me, and I think set up our flag a year later. So that was a really special one. Nice. In terms of my favourite Swans player, it's the great Dane Rampy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dane Rampy. I always refer to him as Dane Rampy in the Velvet Robes. It's like his posse of merrymen. Yeah, the Rampy robe.
Yeah. That was the name of our AFL 9s team, wasn't it? The
it was. Robes. Yeah, the Velvet Robes. I did my hammy in the first 5 minutes and then was captain coach. But I'll tell you what, Jules, that was awesome. So that Swans memory, that's top shelf.
Yeah, that was a cracker. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. That's unreal. I love winning in Cardinia, and it turns out we played quite well down there, smashing the Eagles as well.
That was the start of it, I think, wasn't it? Our great love affair with that ground.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, welcome aboard. It's great having you, and we're going to kick off the weekly Big Four questions now. Remember, you'll both have 45 seconds to give your answer for each question, and I'll give you a warning bell with 5 seconds to go. That sounds like this.
That's it.
Few technical issues there, but it's the sound of a can opening. There you go. All right, so let's get into it. Question 1, and we'll start with Jules and then go to Chris, and I'll let you guys know on time. So question 1, should the AFL enforce a vaccinated spectators only policy for this year's grand final? Go for it, Jules.
Ooh, tricky one. But look, we've been watching in envy, I think, as events like Wimbledon and the Euros have been played with capacity crowds, with this thing that they deem the vaccine passport. As we know, here in Australia, we've had some real issues with supply. So that makes it very, very tricky for us to implement something like that whilst we've got those problems. I do think, though, that probably next year, this may be something that the AFL will look at. I think they'll be very hard pressed to get a capacity crowd this year. This Delta strain has already reared its head at the MCG already this year, so I think it'll be very difficult. But look, there's a lot of talk around this rapid testing and possibly, getting spectators to test prior. So look, I think they can introduce a few safety protocols to probably get 3/4 full MCG.
Yeah, nice. All right, over to you, Chriso.
Yeah, look, we know now cases shut down cities. That's it. Like, you can argue all you want. You can talk about the vaccine. You can do whatever you want to say. If there's cases in a city, it shuts the whole place down, right? You get 3 or 4 in any one given of our cities in Australia, and the whole place is getting locked down. We need to start living with that. That's the truth. So it makes sense for us to start running with a safe environment. So we need to work out a way that if we do want spectators to go to a grand final, they either need to be in a city where there is a very, very low chance that there's going to be any cases, or it needs to be vaccinated only, or some kind of quick testing protocol. Look, if they're going to be able to work out a way to do testing for everyone and give them 10 minutes to tell them the truth, I don't understand why we're not doing this in our local CBD right now. So I suspect that this year, no spectators, and yeah, I'm with Jules. Next year, it's probably the year with vaccinated only.
Well, it might come as a shock, but I haven't been able to book a vaccine appointment. So I will be gutted if we make the flag and we can't even have a chance at going. So we'll be watching that one with very keen interest, certainly Swans fans. All right, question 2, and this time we'll go with Chris first, then Jules. Question 2, which current Swans player will be the first to win a Brownlow? Go for it, Chris.
Look, we have some great players in the team. We've got some great kids. I'm leaning more towards the younger players, and I say younger players. So Heaney has been the big topic this week, and after his grab, his goals, the guy's a machine.
5, baby. Woo!
Massive. He has the tools to win a Brownlow. He can go up and kick goals. He can get possessions, run around the wing, save a game for you, whether as a swing man at the back with that sneaky mark or at front with making a mad goal when we need it. He is the kind of player you expect that should be able to win a Brownlow, but mids win Brownlows. So we know that now. Let's just get over it. So we start looking at the younger crop. Warner, Rowbottom, they're the guys that I'm looking at probably to win a Brownlow. And my sneaky suspicion is that Rowbottom's going to be a cracking player. So my money would be on him.
Rowie, nice. All right, over to you, Jules.
Yeah, thanks. Look, it is a mids medal for sure. Luke Parker will probably finish highest Swan in the count this year, but I think he's a little on the tail end of his career to actually win one. The next man to do it, I think, for us is going to be Callum Mills.
Millsy.
Obviously he's moving to the midfield, super impressive, loves a contested ball, uses it really well, former academy player, bleeds red and white, and at 24 years old, time's on his side. Yep. So I think, call him Charlie Mills.
Oh, you've nailed time there. That was just succinct and perfect. And yeah, Captain Courageous. He looks the goods, doesn't he? Yep. I might be with you on that one, Jules. All right, question 3, and we'll go Jules, Chris. Buddy. Oh, my timer's just going off. Sorry, that's how perfectly timed you were there. All right, question 3. Buddy's 1-game suspension got overturned, leaving many pundits utterly confused and Swans fans relieved. Should the MRO be totally scrapped? Over to you, Jules.
Oh, look, there's many elements to this question. We were relieved, very surprised, and it was quite controversial, I think, as well. The 1,000 though is back on the cards, which is very cool. Look, I don't envy Michael Christian. It's a really tough job, and it's made tougher by overly complicated and poorly understood criteria. Yeah. There's obviously been a lot of concerns around consistency, has been for some time. Look, I don't know if scrapping it's the answer. What's a viable alternative? But there's definitely way too much interpretation and opinion, and we need a much more objective and simpler way to judge these instances, for sure.
Oh, smashing it out of the park, Jules. Unreal. All right, Chris, over to you, mate. Go for it.
I'm with Jules. Like, what's the alternative? I would love to hear what it is. At the end of the day, you need to have a criteria. You need to stick to it. I'm not too fussed with the current system. Medium, high, low contact, intentional, not intentional, is where in the body, the effects afterwards. I think all of those are perfectly good criteria to try to work out whether something should be, what kind of charge you would get for any of these cases. Now, the problem is they're just so inconsistent. They're so inconsistent. So that's what really hurts. It's the inconsistency. The process, I think, is perfectly fine. It's the inconsistency that they have. And just between us, I'm a mad Swans fan. We all know that. Buddy deserved to get a week based on that. He didn't. Hey, we'll run with it. We don't get the free kicks most weeks, so we'll take this. We'll take this instead.
True. I think I was the only one in our WhatsApp group who said he won't get a week off, because all I could remember was Shuey and his hit on Mills.
Yep.
Yeah,
sure.
And that was the most. I'd forgotten about Asprey and Danaher, but yeah, it's just too inconsistent. And just quickly, I think it's Damien Barrett from the AFL journos who trumpets Jimmy Bartell's concept of football, non-football,
footy, non-footy. Yeah.
Yeah, that to me is the clearest. I think everyone can get behind that. So hopefully they can put it down in their charter or get some lawyers to draft it up, or however they work it out. But really needs to move to that quickly.
That's still a grey area, footy, non-footy, where you draw the line.
But that's where you then got to have a process and sort of make some definitions. Okay, this is footy, this is not footy. But yeah, I understand there's still stuff to work through there. But yeah, something's got to be done because it's just it's too erratic, isn't it? All right, question 4, and we're going to go Chris and then finish with Jules. Question 4. Greg from 5Doc asks, has Buddy been worth the mega contract? Should we extend? All right, Chris, I'll go for it.
Look, memberships increased once we started getting Buddy. Sydney was in the media, and he's won games just on his own. He is the greatest showman. He really is. We're lucky enough here in Sydney to go to many of his games while he's been up here. Like the majority of his home games, 99% of them I've been to, and he never disappoints, or very, very rarely disappoints. Every time you watch him, he's exciting. He's one of the most exciting people in football and has been his entire career. He's about to kick 1,000 goals. He might be the last person to ever do it. Is he worth his contract? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. He was worth every bit of it. There's heaps of overpaid people out there in football. Not all of them have won premierships. If you gauge whether a premiership means a big contract, there's plenty of overpaid people out there. I don't think so. I think he's a winner. And should we extend? Go for it. Why not? 1 more year, 2 more years. Go.
I'll give you another one for good measure there, mate. I understand it's a passionate topic. All right, over to Jules. Go for it.
Oh, look, I think that anything that gets under the skin of Eddie Maguire is worth it in my opinion. Look, in all seriousness, Sydney is footy is business in Sydney. It is a highly saturated market. To get TV ratings and bums on seats, man, you got to do something different. And he was the answer for that. I mean, crowd numbers, corporate sponsorship, merchandise sales, marquee time slots, all of these things have all gone up. Not to mention, he's a great team man, magnificent mentor for our, young boys. They all stand taller, running out next to Big Bud. No doubt, I think he's played a part in our fast track of the rebuild for sure. So yeah, big resounding yes for me. In terms of as an extension, we'll just have to see how that body goes. I think if it can hold up, then yes, for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to do that. I was just keen to hear where you went with that, because I was like, you could represent the man, Jules. That was unreal. Look, I'll just say real quickly for the real naysayers out there, a lot of them come from Victoria, not all of them, but I think if you look at his accolades and his stats, it's very, very even. And just off the top of my head, I'd written this out, but I've lost the info. Basically, Buddy has done everything he's done at Hawthorn, except for not win 2 flags. Yeah. We lost the grand final with him, obviously, but in terms of amount of Coleman medals he's won, amount of times he's been in the All-Australian, amount of highest goal kicking for both Hawthorn and the Swans is basically even. I think his average is, it's 3.13 both, and he's had considerably more games out at the Swans. So for all the reasons you guys have said, for me, it's a massive tick. And if the body's right, Jules, let's keep the Big Bud rolling, I reckon. This year, I think, has been it's very clear. He's a real team player, isn't he? He's just selfless. He brings other players into the game. So he's a pleasure to watch. But anyway, thanks for listening to me there. Because I was trying
to bring up the sound, but I couldn't. It wasn't coming in fast enough.
Oh, you were trying to get the camera? Shut me up. Fair play. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today's episode. A massive thanks to Jules. That was so enlightening. Thank you so much for being on.
Oh, total pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And a massive shout out to our friend Greg in 5Doc for that question. Keep them coming. And for those tuning in from home, make sure you're sending questions on social media or wherever you would see this podcast. Get in touch with us. You don't know who's going to answer.
And remember, if you enjoyed this but find yourself craving even more Swannies content, make sure to check out a Bevy of Bloods, in which another mate, Steve and I, do an in-depth review of the Swans' last game, preview the Swans' next game, and have a bit of a chat about footy too. You can find us on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts, as well as on our socials at a Bevy of Bloods.
And lastly, thanks, Jules, for joining us today. Would you like to see us out?
I'd love to. Thank you. Up the Bloods and calm the Swannies.
Calm the Swannies.
Woo!